In a bleak alternate future, war and ecological collapse have emptied the great cities, leaving behind skeletal buildings and poisoned land. Out of this ruin, a brutal military government known simply as the regime has seized power. Under its rule, every child under the age of 18 is torn from their families and shipped to military academies, where they are beaten, trained, and brainwashed into obedient soldiers. Far from the city, deep in the forest, a young girl named Waves runs through the trees, laughing as she weaves around trunks and roots. She suddenly spots a bird perched high on a branch. She raises her slingshot and takes aim, but instead of firing, she lowers the weapon, stretches out her hand, and murmurs a word in her people's old language. The bird flutters away. Her mother, Niska, comes up behind her and asks why she didn't shoot. Waves quietly answers that she was listening to it. They continue their walk, but Waves gets distracted by the forest sounds and light. She steps in the wrong place, and a hidden bear trap snaps shut on her leg. She cries out in pain. Niska rushes to her side, pries the iron jaws open with all her strength, wraps the wound as best she can, and helps her injured daughter limp back home. Their house is actually the rusted shell of an old vehicle they've converted into a small shelter. That night, Niska sits anxiously by Waves, worried because the wound won't stop bleeding. Then she hears a strange mechanical whine in the distance. She peeks out through the window and sees a drone slowly approaching their hideout. She orders Waves to be silent, grabs her rifle, and slips outside. Moving carefully around the vehicle, Niska waits for her moment, then fires. The drone crashes into the dirt, sparks flying. She shoots it several more times to make sure it's completely destroyed. Knowing the regime will send more if they lose contact with it, she frantically packs their belongings, sets their makeshift home on fire to leave no trace, and leads Waves into the trees. They press on through the woods as fast as they can, even while Waves complains about the throbbing in her leg. Niska pushes her to keep going. They can't afford to slow down. Eventually, they reach a riverbank where an old boat waits, hidden in the reeds. They climb in and start rowing. Hours blur together. They paddle all through the night, and by morning, the jagged silhouette of a ruined city appears on the horizon. Before going ashore, Niska tells Waves no one can see her face. She ties a bandana over the girl's mouth and nose and pulls her hood low. They creep into the bombed-out streets, slipping through alleys while loudspeakers blare warnings overhead. Hiding minors is a crime, and the conscription age has been lowered again. Now children as young as 4 are seized for the academies. As they prepare to enter an abandoned house, a man in the neighboring doorway notices them and realizes at once that Waves is a child. Niska panics and reaches for a knife, but the man hurriedly raises his hands and insists he means no harm. He confides that he's hiding his own son, Trey, from the Jingos, the regime soldiers. Even so, Niska coldly tells him she and her daughter will keep to themselves. That night, while Niska sleeps, Waves sneaks out of the house and spots Trey nearby. She follows him into his little garden. Trey proudly shows her a drone wreck that crashed there long ago and swears it's harmless. But Waves can hear something, a faint humming like breathing. Suddenly, the drone springs to life. Before it can react, Niska appears out of nowhere, smashes it to pieces, and roughly drags Waves back inside. Soon after, the Jingos arrive in armored vehicles. They storm Trey's home and demand his age. He and his father insist he's 18, but one of the soldiers clamps a scanner onto his wrist, and the device reveals he's only 15. The Jingos haul Trey away. His father tries to fight back, and they shoot him dead without a second thought. Some time later, Niska and Waves make their way to a crowded street market deep in the slums. Soldiers roam the aisles, rifles in hand, so the pair move cautiously, always staying in the shadows. Massive screens mounted on the walls blast regime propaganda. To Niska's sorrow, she recognizes an old friend, Pierre, as one of the smiling faces promoting the regime's message. A swarm of drones suddenly buzzes overhead and drops food rations onto the street. The crowd explodes into chaos as desperate people claw and shove to grab supplies. While everyone is distracted, Niska shields Waves from view and leads her quickly through the madness to a familiar door, the home of her old friend Roberta. Roberta is stunned to see Niska, then overjoyed. She remembers how tiny Waves used to be and lets the girl feed the cat to keep her occupied. In the kitchen, Niska confides that Waves' leg is infected and she needs medicine. Roberta shakes her head. Clinics are now under heavy Jingo patrol. Niska also brings up Pierre, revealing that he and Roberta are mother and son. Roberta proudly shows a photograph of Pierre graduating from the academy and gently suggests that maybe Waves should enroll as well. With citizenship and rank, she could have a better life. Niska immediately refuses. Sending her daughter, that would mean losing her forever. The next morning, Niska is awakened by engines rumbling into the market. Jingos pour out of their vehicles and begin checking documents, scanning wrists, eyeing everyone for signs of underage children. Meanwhile, Waves' infection is getting worse. Roberta hesitantly reminds Niska that the Jingos could at least give the girl medical treatment. Torn and terrified, Niska tells Waves she's going to find medicine, steps outside, and does the unthinkable. She informs the soldiers there's a miner inside Roberta's house. While they storm in to seize Waves and ship her to the academy, Niska runs away. Once she's safely hidden in an alley, she collapses into sobs, consumed by guilt. 10 months drift past. Now Niska lives alone in a crumbling apartment complex. She's become part of the community, sharing her food rations with neighbors who need them more than she does. Every day, she works in the market, trying to keep herself busy. One of her regular visitors is a man named Randy, who claims he's found something that could change everything. He asks her to meet him later to discuss it. After work, Niska walks to the razor-wired fence surrounding the academy. Families have turned it into a memorial, hanging trinkets, photos, and toys for the children stolen from them. Niska breaks down, crying as she ties one of Waves' favorite toys to the fence. Returning to her building, she finds Jingos searching the apartments. They're hunting for a group of rebels rumored to have attacked the academy. Meanwhile, inside that very academy, Waves is now fully recovered. She trains hard, obeys commands, marches in formation, and keeps her head down. In a week, Selection Day will arrive. The best-performing children will be shipped to Emerson State, an even more elite stronghold of the regime. When the daily pledge is recited, Waves stands silently instead of repeating the words. In her bunk, she secretly adds details to a map of the academy grounds and hides it beneath her mattress. One evening, she overhears guards dragging away a girl from her dorm. The girl never comes back. Later, Niska meets Randy at a bar. He explains he's found a forger who can hack their IDs and turn them into official citizens of Emerson. Niska balks at the idea of living among the regime's privileged elite, but Randy points out that with citizenship, she might finally be able to see her daughter again. That afternoon, Niska returns to the fence memorial. Exhausted, she falls asleep. When she wakes, it's evening, and a wild horse stands nearby, skittish and restless. Niska calmly approaches, murmurs softly, and manages to soothe it. She leads it toward a group of tethered horses. As she does, she hears a voice drifting through the trees. Curious, she follows the sound and finds a young man named Charlie crouched with a laptop and microphone, issuing whispered instructions. Moments later, 2 adults slip out of the academy's shadows with a group of children in tow. To Niska, it looks like a kidnapping. Without thinking, she attacks. The rescuers quickly overpower her, clamp a bag over her head, and carry her away. When the bag is removed, she's in a dim room surrounded by unfamiliar faces. Her captors explain that she's on Cree land. These are indigenous people who have been conducting night raids to free their stolen children from the academy. Niska, speaking a few words in Cree, reveals that she is Cree as well. Their leader, Ida, orders Charlie to run a background check. There's a chance Niska's skills could help them. That evening, Niska is brought out to a roaring bonfire where the community is celebrating the children they've just rescued. Charlie recounts the raid, and elders sit listening. One elder approaches Niska and explains that long ago, a prophecy foretold a guardian who would come from the north to save their people. She believes Niska might be that guardian. The Cree share food and music. Niska eats her first proper meal in a long time. Later, when most have gone to bed, she slips away to explore the camp. In one large tent, she finds a crowd of children sleeping in rough rows and starts to cry at the sight. Ida finds her there, and Niska finally opens up about ways, how she hid her for years and how she lost her. The next morning, Niska says she wants to go home, but the Cree insists Ways is in mortal danger. The academy is not a school. It forges children into mindless jingos. They propose a deal. They will rescue Ways and bring her to Niska, but in exchange, she must lead all their rescued children north to a secret refuge. Niska scoffs that the safe zone is a fairy tale. Even if it were real, the journey would take 3 weeks, and drones would be searching the entire time. Leo, one of the Cree fighters, tells her she doesn't have that kind of time. Once Ways is sent Emerson, she will be fully conditioned. There will be no bringing her back. Overwhelmed, Niska lashes out, insisting the regime at least offers food, medicine, and school, things she was never able to provide. Then she bolts from the council tent. Leo tells Ida that Niska cannot be the guardian. Ida thinks she simply hasn't accepted who she is yet. Back in the academy, the missing girl returns to the dorm, but she's shattered, blank-eyed, and traumatized. Ways notices a bird perched on the fence. She speaks to it in Cree, and it swoops close to her face before flying away. That night, she waits for everyone to fall asleep, then picks the lock again and slips out. This time, alarms blare instantly. Guards grab her and throw her into a cell. The next morning, Niska returns to her building and finds her favorite neighbor lying dead. As she looks around, she sees more bodies scattered in hallways and rooms. Randy appears and quickly covers her mouth and nose, explaining that a deadly virus is loose in the area. The borders will be closed by nightfall. If they're going to use the forged IDs, they have to move now. They hurry to the market, where loudspeakers call for mandatory evacuation and instruct citizens to report to departure zones. They find Roberta shaken. Her home has been ransacked. She is convinced the regime tamed the rations. Randy says they can take Roberta to a shelter, but she cannot cross the border with them. As they try to move through the city, a guard spots them and orders them into custody. They're cuffed, screened for infection, and shoved onto a bus filled with frightened civilians. Randy shows Niska a small smoke bomb and tells her that when he throws it, she must head for the back door. In return, Niska makes him promise Roberta comes too. Roberta then notices Pierre among the jingos outside. Overcome, she tries to reach him, but soldiers aim their weapons and push her back to her seat. Randy tosses a smoke bomb and chaos erupts. He bolts toward the back of the bus, but Roberta runs forward instead, desperately trying to reach her son. A jingo moves to stop her, and Niska jumps him from behind, strangling him with her cuffs. Another soldier is about to shoot her when Randy charges back and stabs him. With both guards down, Niska and Randy snatch a gun and escape. Outside, Roberta edges closer to Pierre, who raises his weapon in confusion. She pleads with him, but he parrots political phrases and regime slogans at her, as if reading from a script, then shoots her dead. Randy rushes to help, but another jingo shoots him in the hand. Suddenly, jingos start dropping to the ground, one by one. Niska turns to see Leo and Simone emerging from cover, having taken out the soldiers. They say a few words in Cree to honor Roberta's spirit. Niska, realizing now how completely Pierre has been brainwashed, agrees to help the Cree resistance. She wraps Randy's injured hand, apologizes for abandoning him earlier, and leaves with her new allies. In the car, Niska notices they pass multiple checkpoints without being stopped. Leo admits he carries diplomatic codes from his father, who is an energy official. He also reveals what he knows about the virus. It was released on purpose by Emerson. The regime is planning to start a new war and use academy children as their army. Simone tells Niska the Elder's vision. Swarms of giant metal mosquitoes, drones, descending on them, and a stranger from the north who would save their people. Meanwhile, Waze is released from her cell and taken back to her room. A cold, cruel instructor mocks her Cree heritage, refuses to call her by her real name, and instead insists on the name Elizabeth. Waze denies everything, so the instructor plays a 10-month-old video of Niska giving the Jingos her location. The betrayal shatters her. Later, during weapons assembly training, Waze quickly sets a new academy record. Another girl accuses her of cheating and sneers that she's a savage. Waze snaps and tackles her, beating her mercilessly. The instructor watches with satisfaction for several long moments before finally pulling her off. She then asks if anyone else wants to challenge Waze. Every cadet stays silent. The instructor asks Waze if she's ready to fight for her country. When Waze says yes, the instructor announces she'll be sent to Emerson the next day. That night, for the first time, Waze recites the pledge along with everyone else. Back at the Cree camp, Niska barges into a private council meeting, demanding to know why they haven't attacked the academy yet. Ida explains that the regime built a new mining road overnight and is now moving straight toward the camp. They must evacuate tonight to survive. Niska refuses to help them unless they rescue Waze first. The elders hesitate, but one of them steps forward and delivers a speech about unity and standing together. In the end, the council agrees to launch the raid before evacuating. That night, Charlie leads Niska and Leo via earpiece through the academy's sewers. They crawl up into the guard station, wait until the guard steps out, and then Leo jumps on computer. Charlie hacks the system remotely, opening locked doors and guiding them toward the girls' dorms. Niska finds Waze, who immediately accuses her of abandoning her. Niska breaks down crying, apologizes over and over, and finally pulls her daughter into a hug. While they reconcile, the guard returns to his station, sees the open systems, and triggers the alarm. Jingos flood the corridors. Leo is forced to shoot 2 soldiers in self-defense. Charlie, monitoring from outside, spots additional regime forces massing near the Cree camp. The troops are preparing to attack. Niska insists there's no time to free the other kids and tries to escape with Waze alone. But Waze says she can sense something coming. Charlie confirms he's seeing strange activity as well and urges them to get out fast. Leo tells Niska to lead the children while he draws the Jingos away. After a Cree prayer, he runs down the corridor, weapon raised toward an incoming drone. Before he can fire, Niska reappears and takes a shot, bringing the drone down. Then she orders Waze to gather the other children, while Charlie locks doors behind them to slow the soldiers. Waze remembers her hidden map and confidently leads the group along escape routes she's drawn by memory. Back at the Cree camp, everyone rushes to pack and prepare to flee. Ida instructs Simone to lead the people in her name while she stays behind to wait for the children. She gives a powerful, defiant speech as soldiers approach through the trees. The regime demands surrender and throws gas grenades, but Cree warriors toss the canisters back. Niska's truck roars into the clearing with the rescued children. Strangely, the soldiers allow the vehicle to pass. Leo realizes too late it's a trap. Waze clutches her head, overwhelmed by a shrill, invisible sound no one else can hear. Then the sky darkens as countless drones swarm overhead, just as the Elder's vision foretold, mechanical insects blotting out the light. Niska tries to shove Waze back into the truck, but the girl steps forward instead. She raises her hand and speaks the same Cree phrase she used on the birds. The drones halt, hovering. She speaks again. One drone pivots, then another, until all of them turn their weapons away from the Cree and aim at the regime soldiers. Charlie stares in awe, realizing the truth. Waze is the guardian from the prophecy. The drones open fire on the soldiers, forcing them into a panic retreat. The Cree start cheering, stunned by their sudden victory. But one last soldier lies hidden in tall grass, unnoticed. He raises his gun and shoots at Waze. Niska sees it and instantly throws herself in front of her daughter, taking the bullet. Simone rushes forward and kills the soldier, while the others run to Niska's side. She is badly wounded and fading fast. They cover her with a blanket. Waze curls up beside her, holding her tight as her mother's breathing slows. Above them, the drones drift into formation, circling overhead like a luminous ring, a silent halo around mother and daughter in their final moments together. As Niska slips away, the makeshift family she created, the Cree, the rescued children, and her daughter, are left to carry on the fight. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss more stories like this. Thanks for watching.